Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, and welcome to episode 39. We've got a full house today. Myself, Manny Albin, Damon Lowney, Robert Forsyth at the controls, and down from the great white north is Mr. Rob Sass. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. I've been snowed in.
Yeah. So I guess this is an episode after Thanksgiving, so hopefully you all had a great holiday. A lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
So sincere, man. I could just tell.
Yeah, so I think this year particularly, well, around this time I have a lot to be thankful for. One, I'm still married and it's my anniversary is the 27th.
So you're thankful that your wife hasn't seen the light yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I'm thankful that we got done with my brother's wedding, three weddings. And all the family was in town, so they stayed over for Thanksgiving, so that was cool. My grandmother came home. Follow up with, this is my 17th year at PCA.
Wow.
I know,
That's
right?
a long time.
We've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
He's probably bringing this up because we wrote an article. I wrote an article about we hit our 500 video on YouTube, so we were trying to figure out 500. Well, we were trying to figure out what our first video really was, the first one, and so we started going further, going back and back to see exactly when it was the first video. So the first video was actually Vu went to San Diego, right? The surprise was San Diego.
It was Northern California. Northern California.
Just because Damon was talking about San Diego, that's why I got San Diego in my mind. He went to Northern California to surprise the first ever raffle winner for PCA, who won a Cayman S, and that was it was never heard of before being done. Was doing a raffle video. So those who are watching the YouTube version can see a very young Vu Gwyn.
It's crazy.
Young, slim.
Skinny Vu Gwyn.
Hush. It's the PCA 20, I tell you. So that was that video. I know. I guess growing up, we always saw like Ed McMahon, and the whole idea was this was our first ever raffle. We only, I think, allowed 6,500 or 7,000 entries. This gentleman's,
I like those odds.
This gentleman's dad actually bought the ticket, one for him and one for his son.
Yeah.
And when we drew it, it was the son's ticket that won, and we're like, oh man, how do we? We're gonna call the dad, but the dad was super excited for the son, and we're like, well, let's go out and surprise him. And we had zero equipment. Literally, I took the camcorder that I filmed my kids, when they were little.
Like VHS?
Yes. No, I think it was a 8mm. It wasn't.
It was a high 8, probably.
Yeah, high 8. It wasn't even a VHS or digital, but with a tripod and if you listen to the audio, it's terrible because we're just using the microphone that's on the camcorder, and then of course my editing skills were very limited back then.
So this is December of 06.
Yeah.
When you do this video, YouTube comes out February of 05. So think about that. YouTube is still something new.
Yeah.
It's when I put on there, I think 4 years later, we start talking about doing videos with for the club. Most of the people in executive council weren't familiar with YouTube.
No.
We're telling them about this website out there that you can put original videos on. And at the time, admittedly, YouTube had a lot of old stuff that people like old speed
archival type stuff.
You can put not really original content. So we
and actually
put it on
the first few videos, because we weren't sure if PCA should have an official channel. Those videos, which we do need to download and move them over, they're actually on my personal channel that I created back in the day.
February 15th, 2010 is when you started the PCA YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was like 4 years or so after the first videos.
Wow.
That's how conservative PCA is. They weren't sure this whole YouTube thing was going to would stick around. Let's not rush into it.
I would argue, by 2010, you pretty much knew for sure it would be around.
Well, it wasn't that. Well, so yeah, there are probably a half a dozen other PCA videos on my personal channel because
like that.
They let us share those videos even though it was on my personal channel because it wasn't a big deal then, like personal versus.
And then they go back in the Vu Gwen.
Yeah, exactly.
The term influencer was not even created yet.
Right. But then Manny and I, we were just like, man, this might work if we're going to all these events. What if we captured these events and share with our members? Because what do? We go to these events and then we come back and at Cars and Coffee on Saturday and Sunday we start telling all our friends and we're like, well, this is a pretty good story. Maybe we should tell more than just the 10 people at Cars and Coffee.
Capture the event and pictures that move.
Pictures that move.
You know what it really was? We had very little editorial influence on Panorama. And we felt at the time
little, we had none.
Yes, I'm trying to be polite here.
None.
So we felt that
what's changed?
The members weren't being serviced properly and showcased in videos or stories rather. So we wanted to use YouTube as a way to show members doing stuff and highlighting members. So that's why we went to Daytona that first time. Not the first time for us for Daytona, but the first time with the equipment. We were going to focus in on the people, like the saying goes, it's not the cars, it's the people.
So YouTube for me in that era was free music. All the illegal music people uploaded, and that's what you had open in college is your laptop.
What was that the controversial server music?
Napster.
Yeah. That's when Napster was like getting shut down. So then you went to YouTube to listen to all this music. So I'm going to share a story. It's pretty funny. It's kind of anyways, so we didn't have official equipment, right? But we asked the EC for I think a $300 budget to go buy a little what were they called? Like not a handy cam, but it was like a flip cam.
Yeah, I used one of those too.
A flip cam, but I knew it was important to get a flip cam that had an audio input, so that we could run. No, it was definitely not. Definitely not HD. That was way too much money. Yeah. So, but I knew it was important that we had good audio. But we splurged on a wired microphone that had 15 feet of cable. But the thing I knew that was we had to do is we had to get a mic flag to make us look really legit. So we landed at Daytona with a mic flag,
NBC, CBS, PCA,
and we had literally the microphone. The mic flag was bigger than the whole setup of the phone, and we had my cheap tripod and walked around. But we got all that equipment the day before we went down to Daytona. So Manny and I at the time, saving the club money, we got a hotel not too far away, but we shared a room. And we had to figure out, plug everything together. So I'm like, okay, start unboxing everything, start charging things up, put the microphone. So now it's probably 9 o'clock at night. He's ready for bed or whatever. I'm like, dude, do me a favor, hold the microphone, and we're going to just practice filming. I'm like, well, then I need to check how far he could go. So I'm like, well, hold the microphone and go outside the hotel door and just talk to me.
We're both in our underwear because it is nighttime.
That is too much information right there.
We've told this story a million times, so that's why I'm okay.
I'm sporting some stylish
So as soon as he goes out the hotel door and I close it, I'm going, oh my gosh, if anybody was watching what we're doing, they might get the wrong idea.
Was there glitter on the ceiling?
But you're legitimate when you're holding a mic with the mic flag.
Yeah, but it was legit, and it was a good thing that we practiced because by the time we went out to Daytona, man, we got all sorts of access.
Yeah, I have to say, PCA OnlyFans?
No. Let's not go there.
It was But yeah, I mean,
that's how it all started.
And what's funny is, we did a whole year of different videos whenever we went to events, and the following year we returned to Daytona, and people were amazed that we were doing all these videos with this little setup. Yeah, they thought we had the big camera that you see cameramen holding, but instead it was just a very economical setup of doing. Capturing videos.
I got to give props to my dad. In middle school, he did have the big old VHS camcorder, and it was literally my job to capture all the family moments. And my dad was so militant about you have to keep it steady, don't move it around so much, because there was no sorts of stabilization with VHS camcorders, right? So that's how I cut my teeth on video and capturing all that stuff, and I hated it because he always made me carry all this equipment. Lo and behold, it came in handy when we started doing this stuff.
Lo and behold.
Yeah.
Well, let's digress for a second, because we didn't talk at all about the raffle car. It was a 2006 Speed Yellow Cayman S.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It looks like Ron Gordon's car.
It was a Cayman S, and you could choose whatever color. I think
that was a dealer example, right?
Yeah, it was a dealer example.
All right, so the Speed Yellow car is not the one.
No. But it was the first of the run.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cayman was a brand new car, and
because I love that car in Speed Yellow.
Oh, you should buy Ron Gordon's car.
Ron's car
He's
is
selling
for sale.
Everything's for sale.
I guess everything's for sale.
For sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, a quick update on Justine's search for a car. Last time we talked about it, she got into someone hit her, T-boned her, killed her car, going through all the insurance stuff, and we made a list, and I asked a lot of people on my Facebook page to think about a car for about $25,000, manual, all-wheel drive, and could hold an 82-pound dog in the back. Well, turns out that's a pretty tough list to fulfill. It really narrows down to like a Subaru and maybe something, one or two other cars. So we got to thinking, and when you know it, I think at this table, my daughter is the first person to buy a car from Nathan Mers.
I bought one.
Yeah.
Did you buy a car from Nathan?
Yeah, I bought a 914 from Nathan.
Oh, that was from Nathan? I thought you bought it from the lady that owned it.
Yeah.
To Nathan's credit, my Cayman was actually sent to Rob, and Nathan was going to buy it had it not been across the whole country.
I ate breakfast with Nathan.
Yeah, no, I was going to say
Manny doesn't want to miss out.
Here.
Manny doesn't miss out. So let me clarify. Justine did not buy a car from Columbia Valley Luxury Cars, which is his dealership.
Yeah.
But he bought it from his family. It's actually was his kid's car, and it's a 2008 Acura MDX. So we had to forego the manual. She definitely got the all-wheel drive. She definitely got the room, and it's got some miles on it. But
it's still going to be a gas and oil car for the next 10 years.
Well, and that's what we came to the realization. Like, she lives in the city. It's parked outside. She's got a year and a half left, and she started to feel kind of stressed about I was like, you got to go test drive all these cars and da-da-da. And then she's like, the thought of having payments and stuff like that. So we just bought them. And then
the best of all, it's a minivan chassis. They build those cars on the Odyssey.
Odyssey?
Yeah.
All right,
and that V6 is like...
Vu certainly knows about Odyssey longevity.
So she basically got into a minivan, which was his ultimate dream. Was to get
Are you trying to make this sound more exciting?
On a more interesting note, my daughter is looking for her first real car at the moment.
Oh. Wait, but she had something pretty cool.
Yeah, well, she's got a 2009 Jetta.
That's what it was, a Jetta.
That we found in Northern Virginia 3 years ago.
Manual Jetta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's now a newly minted veterinarian.
Oh,
and
so you're probably telling her to get a Rover, right?
No. I had nothing to do with this, but she would like a 2015 Macan. So
nice.
If anybody, in the $30,000 range, a 2015 Macan, that's kind of what she's interested in.
Depends on the mileage. Depends on the mileage. That's 2015 though.
Yeah. Yeah, first year Macan. Which I thought was pretty cool. Unprompted from me. And,
good for her. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this whole adulting thing, Justine today has to go
just snuck up on me.
She has to go to the Utah DMV and register her car. She's got to do the odometer declaration. She got her own insurance. My kid's adulting. It's pretty cool.
I know. It's scary, but it sneaks up on you.
Yeah, but she did say she actually, Thanksgiving Day, her and her boyfriend flew to Washington, landed. Nathan and Susie had the car staged at the airport. They climbed into the car and drove back to Utah straight 9 hours on Thanksgiving Day. And she was like, Dad, I thought it was like the size of the Cayenne, and it feels like it's a little bit bigger than the Cayenne. I'm like, no, it's the size of the Cayenne. And then I actually pulled up next to one the other day. I'm like, oh, crap, it's almost the size of the Odyssey. So she's like, it's big and whatever. But yesterday it snowed, and Nathan put on Blizzaks, with an extra set of wheels. And she's like, Dad, this thing is unstoppable. I merge and people let me in. She loves it. So maybe
she's definitely not in Maryland anymore.
Yeah.
People let you in.
Yeah, she's like, I just put my blinkers on and I just drift and people let me in. It's amazing because I guess with the cruise, people would never let her in. Who knows? But anyways, thankful that she got the car. Thank you, Nathan, Susie. Thankful that she got home on a 9-hour drive. That's a pretty long haul for one day. So anyways, yeah. So I do want to make sure we always ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. We're reading all your comments and appreciate you sending. I think we got some notes via email on offering your car for us for 1 mile drives. So cool. I'd like to try something. A little bit of a test, so to speak. So there's a lot of you that listen, and thank you for coming up to us and talking to us at events. But there are some people that don't necessarily listen to podcasts, and I was one of them because Manny's the one that got me into the podcast. Right now, I'm still not like
you still don't listen.
I'm still not full-fledged like he is. But I would appreciate it if you're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media channels you play in. Do us a favor and share the podcast on your social media channel. I just want to see if that makes any sort of a blip. Like, we're doing really well in rankings, especially in the U.S. and Canada, but all over the world. I'd just be curious if you all, our listeners, our loyal listeners, if you shared it on your social media, if I'll see a blip next week. Just a little test, see what happens.
That'll be more than a week.
Okay, it'll be like 2 weeks, I guess. But we monitor all that. We're looking at all our views, and speaking of views, we're constantly monitoring YouTube. That's a big objective for us, and I think you all know that we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. But I think this year we should be able to cross, just in 2022, 2 million views. Is that right, Damon?
I think we're at 1.8 million views right now, or over 1.8 million.
So just go back and think. We were just talking about how. We in 2006 doing basic videos, and now to think that close to 2 million people have watched our stuff this year.
A few stats actually that are interesting to me is that through November 27th of 2021, we had 1.2 million views. Now we have 1.8 million views to that same period. And our watch time went from 167,000 hours to 353,000 hours.
So thank you.
You guys are watching a lot more. We really appreciate it.
And we're going to continue to pump out content. So back to, since last time, you guys do any car stuff over the Thanksgiving holiday?
Yeah. Cars and coffee.
Yeah, cars and coffee.
I drove a lot of Porsches.
You did. You were in good weather territory, so you drove.
Yeah, we figured it would be good to drive as many Porsches for 1 mile reviews as possible when we were in San Diego, and I got to drive the most because I guess for Unstock, when some people were setting up, I was able to steal away to Angeles Crest. Then I stayed another week because I have family in San Diego, and I drove 5 more Porsches that week. So last week it was a 1964 356 SC. Which you see on the screen if you're watching right now. And for those who are paying attention to our YouTube channel and have seen my latest 1 mile review, it was a 356 Speedster. So interesting comparison between those two cars. You'll probably see this one that I drove in San Diego early 2023.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's a beautiful. Is that
great?
Slate
Gray?
Gray?
Slate gray with red.
Slate gray,
Slate
and
gray.
I don't think you'll mind me saying that this is Skip Carter's, so he is
That is probably my favorite color combo.
That is
yeah.
For those not familiar with 56s, the SC is the most refined. It's the end of the model
95
line.
horsepower.
It's it feels like you're driving a modern car.
Yeah.
You get on the highway, and I was driving. I know Bob Gutjahr's 64C, and I was cruising at 80-some miles an hour without any hesitation whatsoever.
That's my dream car.
So it is for Damon. It had to be a pretty cool experience driving something from a 56, was it, the Speedster, to this. It shows how much Porsche evolved in that.
The 56 was way less refined for sure. It had the 64 SC engine, transmission, and brakes, The engine was hot rodded in that Speedster, but the transmission, the shift throw was really, really long. And I hop into Skips, which is restored to original, and the shift throw was nice and tight, and it was a very, very different car to drive. You could almost say the Speedster felt like a GT car compared to an SC. You know, in the way that
was it more luxurious and
it was more luxurious. I could see myself cruising in it, more than the Speedster for sure. And then we had Skip's Cayenne Diesel, which,
nice.
It's hard to get really excited driving diesel. For most people, I like diesels. I drive a Golf diesel every day. So I thought that it would be a similar sort of experience to the Golf in the sense that the engine's not going to want to rev. It's actually a little bit more spirited than the Golf, and it was a pretty nice drive. But you don't buy a diesel Cayenne expecting gasoline V8 performance.
Yeah, but have you
do
ever
But
met anybody?
It's no slouch, though, right?
It's no slouch,
Yeah.
but it's not a Canyon. It's not a Cayenne that you're going to want to take to a back road. It's
But that's the
something
one
that'll
that's
get
gonna
the job done.
that's the one that's gonna score like a 9 on
Yeah.
Daily Driver.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Have you ever met
yeah.
anybody who owns a Cayenne Diesel who doesn't absolutely effing love
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Nathan Mers, don't get him talking about Cayenne Diesels ever. Yeah.
In a
If you're not
24-hour
driving-
race,
I mean,
this is the car you want.
Yeah.
Because in a
What's that?
24-hour race, you're making less fuel stops.
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh,
fuel economy on these cars are incredible.
Yeah.
Compared
No,
to a regular
the-
gas
the
Cayenne.
warranty is also amazing that
Yep.
they've thrown on it.
Yep.
And I know several people that have in the family like 2 Cayenne Diesels. Like,
Right.
It's,
I love
Right. I mean, just look at the prices, how they've held up.
Great
It's
for
the only
road trips.
Porsche with a red line, I think, of 4,500.
It was
maybe?
above. It was like 5, maybe 6.
The red line?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 5,000 is like that's what diesels rev to nowadays.
Yeah.
They're not like
All I know is that
3 or
Mers
4.
loves his, and that's good
Yep.
enough for me.
yeah.
So.
But it was either 5 or 6,000 RPM red line, somewhere in there. But beautiful car. This next one I drove directly after.
Is that your uncle's car?
That's my uncle's car. So
Wow.
for those who are in San Diego,
Bumblebee
Okay,
GT3.
so there are people that are
nice.
just listening, so we
Yeah.
need to make sure we
Yep.
describe what we're looking
So
at.
my uncle owns a 997 GT3. It's in some pretty striking color combos.
It's like the Bumblebee.
It's a .1.
Yeah. So if you remember the 997.2 GT3 RS, it had the sort of the side script or the design with the checkered flag.
Right.
That's what my uncle's car has. That was put on aftermarket. But the yellow wheels, the yellow mirrors, and the spoiler is actually aftermarket, but the wheels and mirrors came from the factory like that.
Oh,
so
so
it's,
that's
a black car with yellow accents.
Nice.
Oh, so-
So,
I think
yellow
those
belts?
what's that?
Does it have yellow belts?
I
too?
believe it has yellow belts.
Nice.
Yep.
And the black and yellow Cali plates.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And-
love
and
it.
the,
Now, if I'm
and-
not mistaken-
and the sunroof. That was a car
sunroof, yeah.
that you had to have the sunroof,
Even though it's a GT3.
even though it's a GT car. And that's where people just had a cow because
Yeah.
people didn't want a sunroof in their GT3, and you couldn't not order it. It came with all the cars. You had to get an RS to get a sunroof delete, which I never understood
Thank
why
you for
Porsche
not
did
using
the
the word slick top or slick roof.
I love saying
appreciate
slick top.
Yeah, well, I definitely would say the 997 GT3, it was awesome car. I hadn't driven it quite that much up until that week or that day. And then a couple days later, the day before Thanksgiving, I transferred over to a gray 2018 GT3. So it was a nice sort of back-to-back comparison there.
Is that chalk?
That is graphite blue metallic.
Oh, okay.
Which
Wow.
I guess is a little more common in Southern California, apparently.
Well, that's the one that Manny drove, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He also drove a graphite blue metallic
Yeah.
GTS.
so rare color, but
Yeah.
we're seeing
all
them
the
around.
same color to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember I thought the green, the car was chalk.
Yeah. But yeah, this is
Mr.
out in
Colorblind.
North County, California, or San Diego. This car, this 991.2, has 500 horsepower versus the 997's 415. And, you'll have to watch the video for my review, but I will say that huge different. You have to approach those cars totally differently because 415 horsepower is enough to have fun.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to be okay. You're not. It's still a very analog car, and it'll bite.
Yeah.
But this 2018 car will bite much harder. It's 500 horsepower, feels way more.
And that car
than
had a
415.
rear wheel steering,
Yeah.
which the 997 did.
So are we changing it to DOMR? Damon's Wimall Reviews?
Well, if you guys had just stayed in California for a little longer, so No, but it was a
And there's another one.
So I drove a Nordic Gold 997 Carrera S. This was a launch model, so 05, and it had limited slip differential and Sport PASM, which are two really cool and I think rare options just to have on a PDK car.
Yeah.
On a car that's already in a super rare color.
Yeah, in a super rare color. Maya, she bought it new. Very sweet woman who allowed me to drive this. I got PDK nowadays. It's funny how much older it feels now or it's not an 05, it's an 09 launch car. So it's PDK back in 09.
Oh, with the buttons on the wheel.
Yeah, with the
buttons
buttons on the wheel.
Yeah.
They did another mod, though. They have the sport steering wheel with the paddles. So it's like the perfect PDK car.
Oh.
But much slower than the new Porsches. You can tell that Porsche has gotten a lot better at programming and building PDK transmissions.
So Nordic Gold, yay or nay?
I like it.
I know where you come down, Vu, but I effing love it. I like the color. If you've ever seen, it also looks good, believe it or not, in a Cayenne GTS. I know.
A Cayenne launch color, too.
All right, just stick to the black and silver, Vu.
No, it's not that. I love colors, and if you own a Nordic Gold car, no disrespect, but it's just not a color for me.
All right, fair
It's
enough.
very orange.
It's a rare,
Yeah.
but sometimes rare doesn't necessarily mean great color, or does it?
like somebody who buys a ruby stone. No, just kidding.
I love ruby stone. That's what's weird,
No,
right?
I mean,
Like,
I
why do
love
I
the
like a
oddball
ruby
colors.
stone, but I'm not a huge fan of Nordic Gold?
Ruby stone looks good, but would you ever buy a ruby
Absolutely.
stone?
I
You
would.
would.
I would
Oh,
rock
I would
ruby
never.
stone.
Never,
Like
ever.
Yeah.
you wouldn't. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I would do Nordic Gold. It also looks good in a Cayman, but
I don't know.
That's just my.
Maybe because I have flashbacks to like Pontiac Grand Ams that had a very similar color, and I just made somebody really angry at me.
They're the
That
cars-
I don't know.
that I
Is
referred
the
to their
owner
Nordic
of-
Gold as a Pontiac
It's a
Grand Am
Fox
color.
body Mustang.
This all
I mean,
comes
aren't you
down
gonna
to the fact
nostalgic?
that he got beat by these cars, so that's why he has a
Well,
animosity towards that color.
Because my gold Fiero 2M4 was anemic, and these little Nordic Gold Grand Ams had the quad 4 Oldsmobile engine, and they crushed me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what
See,
it is.
I don't remember that. I mean, I remember like that GM Gold, which is kind of a gold, but this has got like an orange to it.
Yeah.
That I think is pretty cool.
Anyways, we were just talking colors. Rainbow. If you want to look and see more colors.
Yeah, absolutely.
I threw that out there for you, Rob.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. And people continue to submit. We still get like 10 images a day on Rainbow. It's amazing. But,
yeah, I hear it every time Jim Hemmick has to post it.
the cursing.
We got a color.
Or the people who get the color name wrong. That makes it a little bit more difficult. But I did a car thing over the holiday.
Yeah. When are you selling the 996?
I'm not.
What is the bet? What's the bet now again? The bet was
April of 2024.
Oh, I got
2024.
I got
Oh,
Is
my
it
God.
2024 or 2023?
Don't try to change
I'm
it.
not, it's on the whiteboard, unless you
bet
erased it.
I thought it was a year only. You
Well-
would sell it within the year.
All right, then it's April of 23.
There was a way you would. Have done
Yeah, all
2
right.
years.
Vu probably it was on the whiteboard.
I would have
Unless
bet a
we
year.
were-
I would have bet a year. So you've got till April.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Because here's the. I
I'm
literally.
going to owe him a Greek lunch. I think.
I
it is.
just
You got to
did the
start sending
seats.
him all these for sale ads.
Yeah, there's no trying to game that. No, I just did the seats. I never liked.
Oh, that's the last thing he does before he sells a car.
No. That's
He's like, I will make it custom by putting tartan inserts, and then he puts it on social media. Someone says, "Oh, that's cute," and I'll make someone offer, and he sells it.
so. I mean,
It'll be
nobody
gone by
likes.
April.
What do they? I forget on normal on comfort seats the kind of supple leather. What's that called?
Oh, I know what you're talking
The
about.
comfort seats. They're comfort
No,
seats.
no.
No,
it's-
no.
The leather we have on the 964. It's that like it looks
like
like
wrinkled.
pleated almost.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wrinkly. Yeah, I hate that. So, and plus the car doesn't have heated seats or anything. So it's it's cold in the winter, it's hot in the summer. So I did tartan inserts. I did Black Watch.
Are they,
was not just-
are they heated now or?
He
No,
did not.
but they're-
He did not just justify tartan inserts because it doesn't have heated seats.
Yeah.
I like the
and
look,
the cloth
but it
is
is-
going to make it warmer.
It is going to make it warmer. It's going to make it
not.
cooler in the summer. But I got the 70s. It's called, the pattern's called Black Watch. It's that navy green and
It is a
black
pretty fabric, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks good in a black interior. So when I get back home, and have to put the car away for the winter, it'll have. Tartan
So did you
inserts.
leave the car at like an upholstery shop, or
Yeah.
you just took the seats out?
Yeah, I left it. I just drove the whole car to the upholstery shop. I didn't have time to take out the seats.
Oh, and they're just doing the insert top and bottom, or are they just doing the back?
No, they're doing, as you would normally see it, back seats and then
only the driver's seat. No.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Just
cheaped
kidding.
out. Only the driver's seat.
So what's the range of cost of doing something like that?
It's about $1,000 if you just do the fronts. It's $1,500 front and back. So it's very reasonable.
Ooh, that's actually quite
Yeah,
reasonable.
plus, the cost of 3 meters of black watch tartan fabric, which was probably $150.
Well, you'll have to send us some photos so we can see what it looks like after it's all done.
I will. I'm excited about that. I won't be able to drive the car probably until April, but
Do you still have the TBR?
I do.
Dad,
I
wow.
do.
What's up? He's like keeping
It's-
cars.
Is it in the shop or is it?
No, I literally there was a freak 70-degree day about a week ago, and I took it out for a couple of hours, and all was good. Which, I mean, honestly,
When he starts
Manny
with honestly.
Manny is right. Every time I get in the car after it's been sitting for a while with British cars, you always have to worry about: am I going to have hydraulic pressure in the clutch? Am I going to have hydraulic pressure in the brake system? Because they don't like sitting. The seals dry out, and that's that. But everything's good.
But you did get rid of something.
No,
You got rid of the Mini.
I got rid of the Mini. The Mini was, it
the
was
perfect daily driver. You got rid of it.
Well,
Is that what he called
perfect
it?
until it started braking left and right. Daily
Hey,
drivers.
I just got the perfect daily driver.
Daily drivers
This Mini, all-wheel drive, stick.
with under 70,000 miles that strand you and your kids and your dog on a road trip are not perfect daily drivers.
Yeah.
So the E91 wagon, on the other hand, a perfect daily driver.
So what happened to the Mini? Like what problems or problem?
I was taking my daughter to a job interview, and the valve cover cracked, and basically, the plastic valve cover cracked, and basically, all the oil shot out all over the engine compartment at 70 psi or whatever. So that was bad. And on a hot day on a road trip, it inexplicably went into limp mode. Didn't throw any codes. Just went into limp mode, and nobody could figure out why.
That sounds like British car right there.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Electronic.
Right. It's
malfunction.
after that, it's like you're dead to me. That's
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
this twice,
So
yeah.
why do I guess it's cost. I mean, why do so many manufacturers move away from metal parts to plastic parts? Like you see,
Cost
you
and
see
weight.
plastic oil pan bottoms. You see plastic valve covers. You see headlights that went from glass to plastic, and all the plastic stuff eventually.
Well, the headlights and taillights are because they had to conform to DOT standards. And so instead of having multiple lights, it's like side markers, they made a gigantic blob of a taillight or a headlight. And the only way to do that is with blow molding, plastic.
Yeah.
And the glass went out the window. I'm sure there's a cost if we were trying to do the same thing in glass, which is probably impossible.
Yeah.
But plastic's lighter and it's cheaper. Our Chevy... little Chevy Sonic, which is really a Daewoo.
I knew you wanted to call it something else, but
well,
he's keeping it PG.
yes. Everything that fails, it's a plastic part.
It's a plastic
right.
part. That's so
Radiators, overflow tanks, all that stuff. The BMW is just notorious for it. But friend and panel contributor Art Mason told me he knows a Mini Tech, and this made sense to me. Is essentially
he knows a Mini Tech. You don't know Mini
no,
Tech.
I got to know some Mini Techs a hell of a lot better than I ever wanted to get
the
to
Mini
know.
Tech's kid through college.
Yeah, exactly. I got to know several Mini Techs a hell of a lot better than I ever wanted to. But basically said they design the package, the overall package of the car, and then they make the mechanical components fit. So everything is just squeezed in there really, really tight. Just everything gets hot in the engine compartment. The heat soak is crazy, and plastic stuff lasts about half as long in the engine compartment of a Mini is something else.
It just seems like these newer cars,
I don't know if that's
regardless of manufacturer, they're becoming more like disposable. Like, will these cars last 20? Like this is my 30th year of ownership, and I have a beat up old Fox body Mustang, which is was not great to start with, but it's still it's so simple.
Think about what you're saying here, though. At 80,000 miles, that Fox body Mustang is getting tired. we now have an expectation that you're going to get 200,000 miles out of a car.
Remember that Fox body? You may as well say I got a shirt that's for 30 years old that is still in great shape, but I only wear it once every 3 years.
Well, that's true.
'Cause we were just talking yesterday about how you put more miles on your bike than you did on your car.
Right. Think about how those things wore
Whoa,
back
whoa, whoa!
in the
Why is it starting to turn and feel like an intervention?
I don't know. Your car is great because it gets great care, but think about how those cars wore back in
That's
the
true.
day.
Yeah.
You know, when they were 5 years old, they were clapped out.
Yeah, back in the day, 100,000 miles was like, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
of
100,000 miles. is a
But
big
now
deal.
you're like 100,000 miles. The car's just broken in.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
That's a good point. Good
So,
point.
I mean, I get back to, I always talk about this, but the first 996 that I owned, the one that I bought when I started here,
The one you should have kept.
the one that I should have kept, the one that was like a February of 98 build. I didn't know any of that stuff then, with tons of records. Yeah, that one. That car was in 2017. How old was it? It was 18 years old.
Yeah.
18, 19 years old with 90,000 miles. Paint was shiny. The interior was perfect. Drove beautifully. And I think about the 72 911S that I owned in 1989, also 17 years old, about the same miles. And that car was hand-built, as nicely as Porsche could have built anything. But it was thoroughly worn out. I mean, the paint was faded. It was starting to use oil. The seats, the stuffing had collapsed.
They Porsche, I believe, an Excellence was Expected book. Porsche expected their cars to last 20 years.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like it's a long time for them, but they engineered for 20-year lifespan.
That was ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, I mean, everything in this car, at 90-some-odd thousand miles, the injection pump was worn out. It was starting to use some oil and smoke, compared to the 996 that, was barely broken in. Same age, same miles.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just move into a couple of updates here. Oh, we were on a pretty fun Microsoft Teams call with Porsche Club Coordination. These are the folks that coordinate all the different efforts of Porsche clubs worldwide, led by Sebastian Merkel and his team. And they did what's called a second annual town hall meeting for all the club presidents in the world, and we got to participate in that. It was pretty cool because they really highlighted PCA's growth in numbers, but then also growth in programs. And they talked about how the 70th celebration of Porsche clubs was, a huge success, and one of the highlights of the successful celebration was the 70-year logo that we created at Porsche Parade. So that was cool to see PCA get that coverage. They talked about Works Reunion, and if you've been to a national event this past year, we always had 70-year flags. We had the big banner. Damon and myself, we sent them photos from all of our events, and they shared it with. I mean, we had Porsche Club Singapore, Porsche Club Great Britain, like all of them got to see all the cool stuff that we did.
Did people just gasp when they saw that logo made out of cars?
Here, to put things into perspective, yes, they did gasp.
Could you imagine any other car club?
No, and that's
could you
that.
imagine like the Corvette?
We were running out of red cars.
Yeah,
right? So
no,
I mean,
they said only PCA could pull that off, to do that many cars and have all red cars in the middle, so on and so forth. But to put our size in perspective, there was a record of Porsche gathering. Oh shoot, I think it was Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. But they broke a record, or set a record, and their record was 204 Porsches gathered. Like, that was a huge deal, and it is a huge deal for them, right? But if you think about PCA, or you think about our open house, we draw 300 cars on any given weekend, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool to see how kind of PCA stacks up against all the other clubs, and share of ideas, so on and so forth. They did talk about a little bit about the 75-year of Porsche celebration, and a tagline of driven by dreams, and also a focus on Porsche colors. So we'll hopefully hear more about that and share with you all as we get that.
Hopefully get more rainbow images.
Exactly.
Is there any way we can have input on their names?
You and I and some of the staff
Don't tell me you like rough roads. Doesn't sound like a porn star name. Think about it.
Mad Max.
Sad but true, Manny.
Well, I mean, there's in translation there.
That's what I'm saying. Just they should just run it by us and say, what do you think of this name?
I mean, in all fairness, what do you do? I mean, you want to do something, that is a tribute to the Rothmans livery. You no longer want to associate with a tobacco company. So what do you do? So, that's what they came up with. Needed something that started with an R. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I kind of feel.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So I want to give you guys kudos. I don't know if I did it last podcast of getting footage from the LA Auto Show to Bogdan. Like, it was a true collaborative effort to have you guys out there. I wish I could have stayed. I couldn't. But you guys got media to Bogdan, and I think the clip of the tan safari car has a clip.
Yeah, with my voiceover.
I think that's a clip's like 200,000 views on Instagram.
Yeah, I think it's
I think it's
the
number
reach
2.
Let's see. It's one of our best reels, I believe, that we've done.
The silly thing is what the number 1 reel is on Instagram.
Yeah, and that was the.
Do you know what that is,
he was
Manny?
just showing me yesterday.
No, what is it?
So the Safari one is currently the second most viewed Instagram post. Our number 1 post, which is so random, it's literally Damon doing a video of the PCA Anycross at Parade, where a father is pushing his child in a stroller.
I'm telling you.
Oh, that's still up there, huh?
That's like
wow.
If we get the cats.
That's like 400,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
There's no music. There's no voiceover.
Yep.
It's literally the dad pushing the stroller through a little course.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That dad was pushing that stroller hard, and the kid was just like totally safe. Not like
Right.
20 miles. It was just it was quick. It was brisk.
It's a brisk.
And the
So
kid
random.
was like flailing around in the seat,
So
but they
random
won, I believe.
That is our top post on Instagram.
We've been doing the Anycross, which means you can autocross anything in this kid's autocross. Because I have a picture of me in 05 running Paige, who's my daughter, and she's in her 20s now, and she's holding on for dear life into this stroller because I think she would have been 6 years old.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can see her just a big smile as I'm carting her through the course. But I remember this other father puts his son in there, and this kid screamed bloody murder the entire. Because he was expecting the same reaction. The kid would be laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Not the same reaction.
So what do you want for Stroller Autocross? Do you want the 3-wheel or the 4-wheel stroller?
It doesn't matter because you're really pivoting on one wheel.
All right.
That's the key. You want something light, so enough that you want to minimize friction as much as possible, so you're just running on one wheel for most of the time.
Are we really discussing stroller strategy?
I'd appreciate the stability of a 4-wheel.
That in a nutshell is how Type A Manny is.
Well, not just Manny. Like our
Everybody,
club, everything is competitive.
Right.
Everything is competitive. From eating to stroller crossing to
Hey, well, what the hot setup is for Stroller Autocross.
the camber, rear camber on your stroller.
Next
We are
hot dog
truly
eating contest?
Not well.
Yeah.
Got to put some graphite lubrication in the wheels to get the proper.
Meanwhile, I'm putting LED
Is that
lights.
legal though? I mean, do you?
There was no.
There's no tech
protest committee
inspection?
There's
for
no
any
PCR
What, there's,
rules.
whoa. There's no for Stroller Autocross. There's no
I think
protest.
the only thing you got to do is you got to finish with the kid in the whatever you're.
You can't dump the kid?
No.
All right.
No. Kid still has to be attached to whatever you're pushing.
All right.
All right. With that, let's go into. We have any updates on Rennsport?
It's moving, progressing very well. Porsche is thankfully ahead of the game. They realize how much construction they're going to have to do, not just for not like grandstands or anything like that, but more displays that they're going to have because they don't want to make it tent city as one of them said. They want to have actual structures. So even like our area, there'll be permanent structures for the event, so it won't be a bunch of different tents.
Yeah,
Permanent structures.
It's
for
almost
the
like
event.
semi-permanent.
built out containers. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to have a
Oh,
two-story
stuff.
building temporary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, like they do at Monterey. Mercedes will stick. Looks like a dealership that was
Lexus
in
and- yeah.
Pebble Beach, but it was just put there for a week.
They are going all out. All out.
Yeah.
It's
Is there anybody who's not just counting the days for this? I mean, we're all just.
You know
like
what? It's funny.
kids.
I was talking to some of my friends, and I said, talking about 2023 being like, there's gonna be so much to do. There's still people out there that are on the fence. Like, should I be going to this? I'm like, so
on the fence for what reason?
To go to, I don't know. I'm like, y'all should just make sure you get your airfare soon and hotel accommodations. And
is it just like COVID backlash or something? Are people still worried about?
No. I think it's they don't. They've never been to Rennsport, so
maybe that's
they don't understand what the hype's about,
or they've already been. Maybe.
I mean, I didn't go to the first Rennsport because first of all, I don't remember the first Rennsport being advertised.
Yeah,
and if I would have seen it without understanding what it was, I might have thought it was just another vintage race weekend, which there's a lot to choose from on the East Coast in the summertime. So even though we try to educate the people how important Rennsport is and how many different types of cool cars and people you're going to see, I always tell them, I go, if you don't go, what's going to happen is you're going to read and see a lot of stuff about Rennsport, and you're going to wish you would have went.
Yeah.
To me, it's
or
like...
you're like me, and you go once or twice, and if I didn't absolutely have to be there, I could see maybe making other plans, if like maybe a different sort of trip. I don't have to go to every single Rennsport except for work.
Can we just get a pillow and smother him?
Oh my God. It's like...
Are you really surprised about what he's saying?
But it's like, if you knew Woodstock was coming, you would go, right? Like, amazing bands, amazing ambiance.
But if you've been to Woodstock once, do you want to go to Woodstock again?
I would go every time.
The hygiene
You
issues.
go every time?
I would go every time.
So maybe that's just the difference between us is, I might not go to Woodstock every time.
FOMO. I don't want to miss out. A fear of missing out, something cool is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go.
Yeah, no, but it's an awesome event. If you haven't been, you need to go for sure. But
if you have been,
Mr. Jaded over there.
Make some room for other people if you.
Yeah. All right.
No, it's definitely going to be awesome, and seeing Porsche, how excited they are about it, and I even told them my plan for because they were like, so you want to know who's coming? And I'm like, I would love to know who's coming ahead of time as far as guest drivers and guest engineers. Yeah. I said, because believe it or not, usually they tell us literally 10 minutes before the people show up, they tell us who's coming to the tent at that 2 o'clock slot that we have. And I said, and that's hard. I remember one time they gave me the names and I wrote them down, and one of them I never heard of. So I'm like, I'm Googling on the internet, which was kind of spotty back then, trying to figure out who this driver is. And it turned out it was really fascinating because he raced in the early 50s, 356s. And he worked with the factory. He basically went to the factory and said, I want to race for you. And he got a used 356, proved his worth, and so he started racing for him. But he's telling these stories about what it was like in the early 50s to race for Porsche. And I think Nick Tandy is sitting next to him, the 919 driver, just in total awe how this guy was basically by himself. He'd just show up. Maybe they gave him a mechanic. Sometimes they didn't. And some spare parts. And he would just show up, race, win, come back to the factory, give him back the car, and then wait to the next assignment.
Wow. Yeah. I'm still trying to unpack David's relative ambivalence. It's like, I'm sorry you have to go for your job.
Maybe we leave him
realizing fully that he
leave him at home.
Realizing fully that he probably has friends who for their job have to go to a subprime auto loan convention in Des Moines. And Damon's got to go to Rennsport.
Manny, how excited were you going to Vegas for the packaging convention?
How excited?
Not very excited.
About excited as Damon is going to Rennsport.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. David, I don't think you're ever going to live this one down, brother.
Yeah,
there's some priest right now who's saying, "Oh God, I got to go to the Vatican again. They're sending me to Rome. I wouldn't go if I wasn't a priest, but I got to go."
I know. You can only look at the Sistine Chapel so many times.
You can.
Oh my God.
I mean, let's face it, Rennsport is like the Sistine Chapel.
Oh my
We're blessed by the Holy Father once already. How many times I got to get?
All right. We're running out of time. Porsche news. 718 Boxster electric prototype.
Yes,
they're
calling it the 983, and that I think it looks awesome.
That looks good.
Yes, it looks awesome because it looks like a regular gas car. It doesn't look, and this is what I love about Porsche. They're not.
It's so well disguised.
Yeah, I mean it's. It has
wait, they pixelate the plate.
What? I don't know why this is a spy shot from in Germany that we're watching. If you're watching if you're not watching the YouTube, listening.
If it wasn't pixelated, it would probably have an SGO
spy shot of a of a
That looks
Boxster.
good.
And it even has is that a sticker exhaust or is that a real
it's a sticker
exhaust?
fake exhaust. That's
Yeah.
for sure a sticker.
But
It has two different sets of wheels. So there must
What
be
I love about it is if it wasn't electric, like it doesn't look like they all of a sudden made a Boxster electric. It still looks like a Boxster. It has integrated the newer styling cues from the different cars, but they didn't make it look like a Prius. No disrespect.
Have you
to those
seen
that
the
own
new Prius though? Not to digress.
But let me
It's
let me
actually
yes.
good looking.
no, it's not.
Well, the Boxster looks like a Boxster. It looks like a sports car. It looks like an amazing car, regardless of its powertrain. So, yeah,
The new
kudos to them.
Prius gives me hope for taxi drivers because it looks a little bit bigger for a taxi. But,
Oh, I haven't seen it. I don't.
yeah,
I don't
Did
pay
you
attention.
saw
to
the
that.
Prius, right? We were at the
I
other
did.
show.
Yeah, the best Prius or the best looking Prius I've seen. I wouldn't
The
call
dead
it a
one?
beautiful
Nobody
car.
ever.
Dead one?
I wouldn't call it a beautiful car, but it's good looking, especially for a Prius. I
It's
agree
a
on that.
great appliance. I will
Yeah.
say a Prius is a great appliance.
Right.
And they've if I was to buy a
There are well-designed
hybrid,
toasters out
if
there.
I
You
would
say nice looking.
if I were to buy a commuter hybrid, a Prius would be a good option
See, here's the test. I can see somebody slamming the new Prius, as in like putting a stance on it at some point.
because it's too edgy.
Because it's got
No,
an
slamming
edgier
it,
style.
like-
Slamming it is
slamming
lowering.
Oh,
Oh,
slamming as the lowering.
As the
lowering it,
kids
yeah.
say.
Come on, Boomer.
Stance it out, right?
Yeah.
You don't say slam, you
I-
stance it out.
Yeah.
Stance it out. He's like a couple of decades behind.
Yeah, maybe. but yeah, that's the true test. I think
But
enthusiast.
speaking of
But see,
what
what this it brings into discussion is, and I was talking a little bit with Dr. Frank, and he really didn't answer my question. Frank Walliser was what happens now that you have front engine and rear engine motors in electric cars? You kind of lose that. What makes a Cayman a Cayman? What makes a 911 a 911 being the rear engine or mid engine? And now suddenly they're all going to have the same architecture.
Well, but yes, but they can control the driving experience by sending the power to different ends of the car, right?
That's called a C4.
Oh, so you're saying they will all drive like C4s?
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm getting at is that, to me, part of the allure of a 911 is that it's rear engine. The engine's hanging out
I
past
see
the rear
what you're
axle.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And, at one time it took some skill to be able to drive a rear engine car. Now everything's going to be a dual motor setup.
Yeah.
So you lose. They can say that, well, the motor's in the middle now, or move it, which doesn't really seem to make sense. But if they were to move it in front of the axle,
So now
It's
does
battery
it,
placement.
so now does it mean? Yeah. Well, the weight, where
So
the weight is,
skateboard
battery,
versus-
and then I would think a lot of the programming of how the power is delivered now. Like how quickly does the torque build? Does it build more in the back? For bad weather, you can adjust it, and I don't know.
but I think they're all going to.
They're all gonna
The Taycans, once you get into past the base models,
Yeah.
they're all dual motor setup.
Right.
And they all have the same 2-speed transmission in the rear, single-speed transmission in the front motor. That's all of them, just across the board. It's the same setup. So I don't see it.
It's the weight balance. So yes, the drive wheels and which wheels are driven affects that. But I think it's the weight balance. It's going to make the biggest difference. So do they use a skateboard battery for the 718, or do they
Stuff
clump it
batteries
up and stuff it right
in the
behind
back.
the rear
We
firewall?
want to make a handle worse, so we're going to stick it in the rear
To give
to
it that
give you the
character,
true feeling of a 911. I
mean,
don't.
Lower polar moment of inertia if it's stacked behind you versus lower center of gravity if it's a skateboard. So
I'm sure
it'll
they're
be
having
different.
this discussion, and
Yeah.
I firmly believe that they'll figure it out. That it'll still be a fun car to drive.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all. Once the dust settle, how it all pans out.
Now, one of the funniest things that we saw back at SEMA, remember we were at the back end of a Tesla, and they had these little boxes that you attach to the back of the Tesla, and it actually
the speaker.
it was a speaker.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
speaker.
crazy.
It was like so the guy would like hit on the throttle, and it would sound like a Hellcat, and then he switched over, and like that was so hokey.
That's ridiculous.
And I'm hoping that we don't see anything like that. On a
When you
Porsche.
mentioned Tesla, though, what popped into my head, it'd be fun to revisit this just to see. There hasn't really been an electric sports car since the original Tesla Roadster, which was kind of a electrified Lotus Elise. I would really, really love to, although it's hard now because there aren't that many Tesla Roadsters around and they've gotten actually fairly valuable. But it'd be fun to drive one back-to-back with an electric Boxster and just see how much progress has been made. And, and frankly, go back. Yeah. I don't know anybody. I'm not sure I know anybody who's actually driven a Tesla Roadster. So I'd be kind of curious to see.
Polestar is working on a sports car, too.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That'll be... That's what everyone's been saying. The minute they make a fun electric car is when it's going to really become popular, if you will. And hopefully it's Porsche.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. I mean, I think the Tesla Roadster was kind of a blind alley. They did it for a little while. It really wasn't a serious effort because, basically it was based on a lease. And, so this will be really an interesting test.
Also in the headlines is one of our favorite people.
I got this for you, so you could explain this phenomena to us.
One of our favorite people at PAG is Mr. Alexander Fabig.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about this.
So,
for
and also, was it a couple of months ago? I was walking around the office telling you guys about a K-pop group that dropped a song, and unfortunately in the song they just say Porsche, 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 and we're like, how can we kind of get a part of all that and kind of have a little bit of fun and tell them it's Porsche, but we neither here or there. And then we see this headline with Mr. Alexander Fabig.
I like how he's
with Jenny
wringing his hands
with Jenny
like
from BlackPink. And it highlights the Sonderwunsch program. And for those of you that don't know, Jenny is, one of the members of BlackPink, a K-pop group, and she built her, I think it was a Taycan.
Has she gone solo, or is this?
No, I think she's still part of the group. But the funniest
is she like Beyonce was when she was part of a group?
With K-pop fans, and I am not a full-on K-pop fan. I think her following is probably larger than Beyonce.
I was reading.
You know who is a full-on K-pop fan?
Who?
You're not going to
Damon?
believe this. No.
Damon.
Panorama managing editor Emma Smith.
Emma's into
I can see
K-pop?
that.
Really?
see that.
K-pop, yeah.
Oh, very cool. So anyways, in the Korean media, because I do watch some K-dramas, it's a lot of... Why are you giggling?
K-dramas are awesome.
K-dramas are awesome. And
You and Kim Jong-il.
they Porsche is definitely in the scene. Like all the who's who in the K-pop world, all the stars, they're all in Porsches. It's pretty amazing. All right. We also... You didn't put this one in there for me, but I know you'll report on it, is the Mobile One SuperCup.
They signed on for 2030.
Yep.
So at least in Europe, you will get to see the SuperCup series continue. I wish we had it here in the U.S. Sometimes they bring it here. They used to bring it here when it was with Indianapolis, I remember. I think the first Indianapolis race, because what I remember was a lot of club racers were lined up to buy the SuperCup cars because it was the last race of the season.
Was that back in the
995?
993?
05, I think.
Like the Pirelli
No,
cars?
this was 996s.
Oh, 996s?
Yeah, it would have been 996s, 997s. Anyways, it was, I just remember the teams were like more than happy not to have to transport their cars back to Europe, and they were unloading them here because there was enough club racers and pro teams that wanted to buy it. They're one-year-old cars, but that will continue on.
What do you think happened to all those cars?
Oh, they're still around.
Are people putting them like in their collection, or
without saying who was auctioning it off? But there was a car that was a 993 that used to race at Summit Point, and I saw myself this car get a complete new front clip.
Oh,
and this car got the living crap beat out of it when it was racing. And this is not even racing when it was racing SuperCup, but just racing with club racing. And now I'm seeing it auction off at a pretty prestigious auction house. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if they realize how much... It's a race car. I mean, it's a factory race car. So, much like the video we did of chassis number 5917 that turned out, what only thing original in that car was actually the chassis plate.
Yeah.
The car's been redone, but that's very common with a lot of factory race cars. It's not like a street car.
Yeah. Apparently people are importing... I think I told you when I picked up the TVR at the port, there was a 964 Cup car. just sitting at the Port of Newark, and I'm dying to know who bought that car.
Huh.
Yeah,
So-
it's a lot of times you'll find chassis numbers there's 2 chassis numbers because they got a replacement tub, and then when the original car became valuable enough, they just fixed it.
Yeah.
And that's how our past Concord chair ended up with
Two
74 RSs with the same VIN number. It wasn't a scam. It was just a team.
They built 2 cars out of
got
one
a
car.
replacement tub, and then when the 74 RSs went up in value, they said, you know what, we got that old wreck in the back. Let's fix it and sell it. And that's what they did. And so he said he always jokes that you had to buy 2 cars to get one.
Yeah.
All right, latest video drops. We have 7 things you didn't know about the 911 Dakar, as well as we talked a little bit about the 56 Speedster, and then also the one at the museum is going to drop soon.
Yeah, we Vu filmed something at the Porsche Museum where the head manager of the museum picked his favorite cars that he takes care of, and they were in the factory vault that's off the main site, an undisclosed location. So we were hoping to release it yesterday, but with when I finished the edit and the time change, not time change, but being ahead in time in Germany, hopefully we get that
We'll
approval
drop it this
today,
week.
and
Or
we'll
by the
drop
time
it
you
this
guys
week.
listen to this, it'll be already out.
Yeah, it'll already be out by then. And then we have an Unstock video, which should have dropped by the time you hear this on the podcast. Then we have...
What's the 1 mile review coming out?
that'll be, let's see here. That'll be you in
we
the
have
R
air-cooled
Group
exhaust?
911.
Oh, wow.
So the one out here that we filmed, followed by an 07 GT3. And then Vu drove something on Angela's Crest. It was a turbo with GT2 mods that sounded and looked really
Did
really
that car
awesome.
sound good when I drove by you guys?
It did.
It
that
sounded
did.
good inside.
It's my
I'm
kind
like-
of car too.
I like
so.
when I go by them, they're gonna get a earful.
Yep.
That was
yep.
an awesome car.
Yeah, and we've had a few other videos that have been in queue, including a deep dive into a 993 Carrera RS versus RS Club Sport. Nathan Mers has a 996 Turbo video coming out soon, though we're not sure if that'll be late 2022 or early 2023. And we also profiled a 914 race car at Bob Miller's down the street, which we also have in queue. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of it.
Yes, please do. Tonight we'll be going over, and Mr. Hemmig is over the moon. I think
He
he's
is.
skipping around the office because tonight we're going to be doing on Tech Tactics Live the definitive buyer's guide to Porsche bikes. Anything and everything you didn't want to know, we're going to tell you about Porsche bikes. But seriously, though, it should be a good show. And if you're considering a new or vintage Porsche bike, you'll want to watch this because we'll tell you what to look out for, what kind of prices you expect to pay, and how to get fitted correctly. It should be a very, very cool session.
I thought you just bought the bike and rode it, but
I did
evidently there's
too.
a
They're
lot
like
more.
there's
so
ones
much.
with like
Well, just
bike
like-
chain tensioner
Well,
problems.
It's like
or-
how to tell the difference with
Sizes.
like worn shocks.
Yeah.
okay.
You got some fat guy that's been riding it for a while and just crushed the shocks. You know,
Why are you looking at me?
I wasn't looking at you. You're very
I
touchy
could
about
I
this.
could tell you were straining to look the other way.
See, the bikes we rode growing up, those are like the Toyotas and Hondas of the bike world.
yes.
So now that we're into Porsche bikes, you just have to maintain it more, spend more money on them, learn all the ins and
The
outs,
key
and then
is
you're all good.
a good PPI on a Porsche bike as well.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. Get it ceramic
right.
coated. Oh, you know, when I came in this morning, first thing,
Jeez, the bike.
Jim comes running up to me. He says, "Did you bring your bike?" And I said, "No." He goes, "You didn't." And it looked like he told him Christmas was canceled. And I'm like, "It's raining. I don't bring my bike out in the rain. Why would I? Who rides their bike out in the rain?" And he's like, "But we need it for the show."
Did you not bring it? Or
No,
did-
I brought it. I finally
Oh,
looked
you
at
had
to cry. I said it's in the Suburban.
I was about to say you're gonna like crush his plans. I also brought in the Cayenne because it's been 2 years since we did the video of refurbishing the headlights on the Cayenne, and
How are they holding up?
they look like it's got cataracts. so after 2 years, we're gonna shoot a quick video with the new process using Cerakote, and it's a lot easier. And yeah, actually we're gonna do sort of like a versus thing. We're gonna shoot it the traditional way, sort of a how-to YouTube, but then we're also gonna have Bogdan shoot it for Instagram and have it be like a 90-second thing, and see how they both perform.
Why don't you investigate the new process of calling up Porsche Classic and getting a new set of headlights?
That is a wonderful option. it's a bit more expensive, and for a car that has 145,000 miles and sits outside, and I'm going to try this first.
Fair enough.
All right, let's see. We are, by the time you hear this, we'll be getting ready to board the Princess cruise ship for Zone Fest.
And by we, you mean you.
Yeah. And about 600 other PCA members. That's how many.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
Are you packing cruise wear?
I haven't even packed, but yes, I'm sure I'll have cruise wear. I'm definitely going to bring my new PCA Classic Club Coupe sneakers. You like how I integrated that? Throw that up there, Robert.
Your boat shoes.
Right. All right. Did I imagine this, or did they get like part of the cast of it?
They
did.
Get,
like, the captain's daughter?
So the captain's daughter is going to be the MC for all of the PCA events.
Wow.
We have over 600 PCA members coming. We've actually
just to make everybody feel old, the precocious kid with the bangs is now probably 40-something,
and she's gonna be there with us.
Wow.
Actually, she'll be. I will be cooking against her in the the Iron Chef competition. That will be, that'll be. We'll have a comedian that I'm going to sit down with and give him all the PCA Porsche isms. So he'll have like a Porsche.
You're just ratcheting up the cool factor.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
And we're also I'm looking forward to connecting. One of the stops is Puerto Rico and San Juan, and the Puerto Rico region, PCA's Puerto Rico region, is putting together a car show or something.
I know it's unheard of to get
fun.
COVID while you're on a cruise ship, but
Yes.
you will get tested before you come back in the office.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of testing.
You've had COVID like 3 times at this point, right?
I've had it once.
Oh, I thought you had it. Okay.
No. How does once become 3 times? And I barely, knock on wood, had it.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. Let's see.
A little touchy there.
All right. It's
PCA.
not like you're saying he's typhoid Mary. I thought you had COVID.
Registration
Right.
for the Spring Treffin, Georgia Mountains, opens on January 4th.
Ooh.
The event itself is April 19th to the 23rd. Those of you that have been to a Treffin before, you know that things sell out very quickly. We've had things sell out in 8 minutes. So if you're looking forward to going to the Spring Treffin, look at the information in advance and be ready on January 4th when registration opens. Make your decisions quickly. Check out so you get your spot.
Why don't we just have Ticketmaster handle this now so it can sell out before
what
they
could
even
go
officially
wrong?
go on sale?
Yeah, just like how we crashed the Rennsport servers.
Yeah.
PCA Corral and Hospitality Tent at the 24 Hours of Daytona, January 28th.
A little bit more filled. There we go.
There
That's
you
a good
go.
shot. I'm like, it's all empty.
And then registration for Works Reunion Amelia Island will open on December 14th. The
You
event
see,
is
Jeff Gordon's going to be the honoree
for
Amelia
Amelia
Island?
for the Concord.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think what's called now the Amelia.
The Amelia, yeah. So Works Reunion Amelia Island is March 3rd. Those of you that haven't bought your raffle ticket for the GTS America, right now we're giving away the America plus 3 911 cabs. So if you haven't bought your ticket, do so. The odds are one of the best out there. Anything else before we sign off, gentlemen? All good? Thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, grab that VIN and head over to PCA.org and become an official member. If you're still looking for your Porsche, we have a program called Test Drive. You can sign up for that, and we'll steer you in the right direction to get the right Porsche for you. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page. It's Porsche Club Insider, all one word. And if you want to send us a message, an email, you can reach us at podcast@pca.org, or simply comment, because we love reading your comments on the YouTube podcast video. Do that. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.